Hi, and welcome to the second video of this series of 3 videos to help you manage the stress you face in your life. In case this is your first video, my name is Diarmuid and I'm the owner of a company called Lifelong Lifestyles. And my company is focused on helping people learn how to make lasting changes in health-related behaviors. And I was thrilled to receive this opportunity from the ICS to share with you information and tips to help you manage the stressful and worrisome situation that you are facing right now. The topic of last week's video was on using exercise, in particular rhythmic cardio type exercise or mind-body exercise like yoga, as tools to relieve pent-up tension and build resilience. But in today's video, we're going to be shifting a little bit and we'll be discussing deep breathing and mindfulness as tools to help you cope effectively. And during today's video, I will share with you some of the background, the relevant information you need to know before you get started, and then I will help you create an action plan so that you can begin taking action and benefit from these proven strategies. So with that, let's jump right into it. So last week I started with a quick body check, and I would like to do the same again in this video because it's very easy for stress to go unnoticed. So check 1, pay attention to your breathing. Is it shallow? If you can't tell, place one hand on your chest and the other hand on your belly. And when you breathe in, pay attention to which hand is moving the most. So as I said last week, breaths that calm you down go slow and low. You draw air deep into your lungs so that your chest and belly fully expand together. Whereas shallow breaths, these can lead to tension, and they tend to only involve your chest. Okay, so let's move on to check number 2 and bring your attention to your neck and shoulders. How do they feel? Is there any tension there? Take a deep breath and squeeze your shoulders towards your ears. And then when you bring them up, hold them. And then as you breathe out, slowly allow your shoulders to fall back down, relaxing them as much as you can. And the final check, check number 3, pay attention to your jaws and your fists. Are they clenched tightly? So take a deep breath and then relax your jaw until your lips are slightly parted. Then on your next deep breath, relax your hands so that your fingers are loosely separated. Now, how was that? Did you notice any tension in your body? And most of us will notice tension in our body, and these checks can be helpful in building your awareness of what stress feels like in your physical body. Last week, I had you grab a pen and paper and write down your answers to some questions I asked. I'm going to do that again this week because these are questions designed to help you build your motivation so that you take action on these strategies we're talking about. So if you don't have a pen and paper with you, pause this video and go grab one. And then when you're ready, come back. And the first question I would like you to answer or write down your answer to is, what concerns, if any, do you have about continuing to manage stress the way you do at this very moment? Last week, I gave an example of a car screeching its brakes to a halt and how your body's natural stress response works. All right, so your body recognizes it's in danger and it releases a surge of hormones to help you sprint out of the car's way far quicker than you normally would. And in addition to this, I explained that the hormones that spilled into your bloodstream were used up by you running out of the way. So your stress response was designed for situations just like this, genuine, in the moment, life-threatening events. But the trouble starts when our body does a really poor job of telling the difference between an actual, in the moment life-threatening event, like a car flying in our direction, and day-to-day stressful events that aren't threatening to our life in that very moment. And right now is a particular tricky situation because there is a genuine life-threatening virus being transmitted in our city, in our country, and around the world. And this is creating ongoing stress and worries for all of us. All aspects of our lives have been affected, and we worry about what may come in the future. News and updates from the radio, podcasts, Twitter, friends, and so on. All of these things can trigger stress in each of us. So your body's stress response kicks in far more frequently and easily than it's designed to handle. Furthermore, you don't have the quick physical release you get from running away from the oncoming car. And for this reason, the stress that we are experiencing builds up as the day rolls on, and it continues day after day. Okay, so now I'm going to pause again and grab your pen and paper and write your answer to this question. What am I currently doing to manage the daily stress I'm experiencing? Even though we may really want this not to be true, you actually cannot eliminate all stressors from your life. And by stressors, I mean events or things that cause you stress, things that trigger you to become stressed. And most people tend to have little or no control over the things that cause them stress. So it's important you place your focus on where you do have control, and that's on how you respond to the stress. And I gave an example last week too, that people react in completely different ways to stress. While one person can throw a tantrum, another person can keep their lips closed and bottle it up, and another person can stop, take a breath, accept the situation, and then take a well-reasoned action. And what makes those differences important is how you respond to stress greatly affects how the stress affects you. Okay, grab your pen and paper and answer this question. What would be better for you if you learned to respond to stress more effectively? Whatever your reasons for wanting to manage stress and anxiety, your wellness depends on your ability to deal with what's causing you stress and anxiety. Now that's your resilience. It's your ability to bounce back from life's setbacks. And the beauty about this is you don't have to be born lucky to have resilience. If you are finding your situation right now to be challenging or overwhelming, you can learn to become more resilient. You do have the power to boost your resilience and to expand the range of ways you cope with the current situation you find yourself in. And learning to create something called the relaxation response, which I touched on last week, helps enormously in controlling stress. And that's what I will be focusing on much more today. So in the last video, I asked you to imagine you had a personal energy battery, a battery that goes up and goes down as life unfolds. Now, the frequent arousal of the stress response drains your personal energy battery, whereas on the other hand, creating the relaxation response tops your personal energy battery up. So just think about it. How would you feel if you had a personal energy battery that was regularly being topped up instead of being drained? The relaxation response is a term that refers to a deep physiologic shift in the body that is the exact opposite to the stress response. So the relaxation response puts the brake on the biological changes that puts us into overdrive. So your heartbeat and breathing slow down, the body uses less oxygen, and blood flows more easily throughout your body. Also, blood lactate levels, and this is something researchers believe may be linked with anxiety attacks, begin to drop as well. There are only two things needed to create the relaxation response: something calming to focus on, and then relaxing yourself. It's because of this that deep breathing and meditation are great choices to elicit the relaxation response. When you breathe shallowly, the lowest portion of the lungs never gets a full share of oxygenated air, and this can make people feel anxious and short of breath. But when you breathe deeply, the inhale has much more oxygen, and then you exhale much more carbon dioxide. So on every heartbeat, you are pumping around more oxygen, and this helps slow your heartbeat down, and it can also help lower your blood pressure. So for a minute, I want to practice deep breathing. And just like we did at the start of the video, I want you to place one hand onto your chest and relax your hand, and then I want you to place your second hand just beneath your belly button. And now we're going to practice breathing technique for 4 seconds inhale, 6 seconds exhale. So it's a 10-second count, and we'll do it 6 times. So when you're ready, just pay attention to the hands and which hand is moving, and then I will count us in. So slowly start to inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1, and then exhale 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and inhale through your nose 4, 3, 2, 1, and exhale through your lips 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and inhale through your nose 4, 3, 2, 1, and exhale 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and inhale slowly through your nose 4, 3, 2, 1, exhale through your lips 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and inhale through your nose 4, 3, 2, 1, and exhale through your lips 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Last time, inhale slowly through your nose 4, 3, 2, 1, and then exhale slowly through your lips 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So that right there is deep breathing, and I really like 4 and 6 because it adds up to 10. It's as simple as that. Now the most important thing about that is that it is slow, it's going low so that your diaphragm is really relaxing and the hand on your belly is moving. And in addition to that, it also is important that the exhale be longer than the inhale. So make sure that when you're doing this, that you're not inhaling for 6 and exhaling for 4, rather you're inhaling for 4 and exhaling for 6. Now, mindfulness is a little bit different than deep breathing. In fact, a lot of people would say it's very different than deep breathing. And in our busy world, we have made multitasking a way of life. We fold laundry while keeping one eye on the kids and another eye on the television. We chat on our cell phone while looking through emails. We pay bills while eating food. And then we listen to our partner and spouse while, doing the dishes. And we do this all at the same time, or we try to do this all at the same time. And what does this mean? Plain and simple, it means our attention is scattered. And scattered attention leads to scattered thoughts and emotions. And scattered thoughts and emotions can lead to stress and anxiety. But you can train yourself to become more skillful with your attention and to gather scattered thoughts and emotions. And this is what mindfulness is. It's improving your mind's ability to concentrate, clarify what's happening right now, and remain composed while it's happening. So rather than juggling tasks, you focus on what you hear, see, and feel in that very moment without judging what you're hearing, seeing, and feeling. And improving your ability to be mindful can be a very powerful tool in helping you manage stress and build resilience. You can train your ability to be mindful through meditation. So meditation can seem a little foreign and mystical, and I completely understand that because it did for me at the beginning. So for this reason, it can intimidate people. However, like going for a run trains your aerobic fitness levels, meditation is like running for your attention. It trains your attentional fitness levels. And believe it or not, training mindfulness through meditation can relieve stress, help manage heart disease, and other conditions such as high blood pressure, chronic pain, and sleep problems. In addition to all that, mindfulness helps enhance your appreciation of simple everyday experiences. So by learning to focus on what you hear, see, and feel in the moment, you are less likely to get caught up in the worries of the future or regrets of the past. And this can be really helpful for us when we are experiencing stress or experiencing anxiety. So grab a pen and paper and list 3 things that would be better for you if you appreciated just a little more the simple everyday experiences of life. This is how we get started with mindfulness meditation. I want you to sit up with your feet flat on the floor. Now focus on your breathing. So bring your attention to your breathing. And in particular, I want you to pay attention to how the air feels as you inhale. Is there more air flowing through one nostril? Is the air going slow and low? What about your exhale? How does that feel? Are you breathing out through your nose? How does that feel? Are you breathing out through your lips? How does that feel? Is it fast? Is it shallow? Keep focusing your attention on what it feels like to inhale and exhale, what the air feels like. And if your attention gets pulled away from what your breathing feels like, just gently bring your attention back. Now, this is what is called external feel. So your attention is on what it feels like to breathe. And if your attention is on what it feels like to breathe, then it's not on the scattered thoughts and emotions I was just speaking about a second ago. And keeping your attention on your breath, this improves your concentration. And then noticing how the breath feels in different parts of your body improves your mental clarity. And then letting distractions come and go as you focus on what it feels like to breathe, this helps build your mental composure. Now I want you to shift away from what it feels like to breathe, and I want you to bring your attention to the sounds around you. So I'm talking here in the video, so clearly my voice is some sound, but are there other sounds around you? If you want to pause this video, is it completely silent? If you hear sounds, that's great. Just focus on what they sound like. Enjoy the sounds. If there is complete silence, just imagine that's an auditory rest, a brief moment of auditory rest, and enjoy that brief moment of silence. In this case, if your attention gets pulled away from what you're hearing, just gently bring your attention back to the sounds around you. So maybe there's a fan above your head. Maybe there's a sound in the distance. Maybe there's one sound coming from your right ear a bit louder than it's coming from your left ear. And focusing your attention on what you hear, that also improves your concentration. And then noticing the different sounds or silence improves your ability to clarify what's going on, which improves your mental clarity. And then letting distractions come and go. So if your mind starts, acting up and you start hearing thoughts, and then focusing back on the sound without getting too caught up on what's going on inside your mind, this can help you build your equanimity or your mental composure. Now, I want you to open your eyes if they were closed. So, as your eyes are open, you can bring your attention to what you see outside of you. Is it bright outside? Can you see objects? If you pause this video and you close on the computer, is it pitch dark? So enjoy the sights without judging them. If it's dark and you don't see anything, just enjoy that as a visual rest. And enjoy that for a brief moment. If your attention gets pulled away from what you see, you start focusing on what you're hearing, you start focusing on what you're feeling, gently bring your attention back to the sights around you. And focus your attention on what you see, this also improves your concentration. And in noticing the different sights or emptiness around you, this improves your mental clarity. So you can determine and distinguish what's going on. And then letting distractions come and go as you focus on what you see helps build your equanimity or your mental composure. You don't need to sit down to meditate to practice focusing your attention on what you see, hear, and feel. You can practice what you are hearing, seeing, and feeling during every single task of the day. So as you type on a keyboard, as you scroll through social media, as you drink a glass of water, as you eat, you just get to focus on what you're seeing, what you're hearing, and what it feels like to do all of those activities. And when your attention gets pulled away, just gently steer it back to what you are seeing, hearing, and feeling. And in that way, you are practicing mindfulness all the time. Just like for exercise, your first step to get started on this is to set an effective goal, and that starts with choosing either deep breathing or mindfulness meditation. So take a moment to consider which will be easiest for you to perform and then write it down. And if you want to do both, that's fine. Pick both and then create separate goals for them. When you've chosen, your next step is to decide on a duration for which you will practice. As I said last week, most people will set big goals here. But if you're to be successful, you will need to set a goal to your level. In other words, ask yourself, how many minutes am I currently spending meditating or deep breathing? So start with a duration you are guaranteed to achieve, and then gradually pace out your increases over time. So if you're at 0 minutes right now, then aiming for 5 or 10 minutes maximum. And then stick with that. And when you're hitting that target consistently, then increase the time or increase the duration. Now your ultimate target is 20 to 45 minutes of deep breathing or meditation daily. So it is a big target, but it can be done. And it'll be done more reliably if you pace out your progression. Now, this can be easy to overlook or to, brush it aside because we do have giant goals. We want to get the effects and the benefits immediately. But your focus at the start should be on creating consistent positive results and not on setting goals and missing them. So creating consistent positive results and then pacing out your increases over time creates lasting changes in your routines. That's what works. So go for that. Once you've set your goals, so if you've chosen deep breathing and then meditation and then the duration you will do it for, you can be tempted to run off and go start. But honestly, hold on for a second. Remember, as I said about exercise, the benefits of meditation only come from you doing it. And that's the same for deep breathing. So just like exercise, it only helps you to become more resilient if you're actually practicing. So we need to do more things to make sure that we are going to be practicing and that we hit our goal. If you're to build a consistent practice into your week, you have got to monitor how much you practice. It's so easy to forget that there is something new you want to start doing. And to be honest, it's even harder when you're stressed out because your thoughts are scattered. So keep a written record of your meditation or deep breathing journey. And it doesn't have to be too complicated. On a piece of paper, write down what your goal is. So meditating and deep breathing and for how long. And then create 7 columns, 1 for each day of the week. And then stick that piece of paper in a place you will see easily, like on a fridge door, your front door, some of the places I mentioned last week, on your bedside locker. And then record how many minutes you spend meditating or deep breathing every single day. And this way, you don't have to remember to meditate. Seeing the sheet will remind you. Also, you will see your progress and you will spot a lack of progress much earlier, and this will give you a chance of getting on track sooner. So many people, as I said last week, stop monitoring their practice when things are going well because they start feeling like they've got a good handle on this. But trust me, it takes a long time for a routine to be established, a lot longer than most people think. So when you decide you're going to be mindful about being mindful, remind yourself that seeing the meditation chart will remind you. That will actually probably take something off your list and might even bring your stress levels down a touch. Your brain is busy, and meditating regularly or breathing deeply may not be what it's used to doing. So give it a helping hand and place your monitoring chart in a place that is going to trigger that thought in your head to go practice being mindful and to practice deep breathing. So now we have our goal set and we have a plan to monitor our practice. So we've got 2 things out of 5 and this is a good start. But your surroundings are really important here, and as I said before, they've probably been hit the hardest out of anything with COVID. The barriers in our environment have popped up everywhere, but that was probably more so for exercise than it is for deep breathing or it is for mindfulness. So it has made things harder for a lot of things, but I don't know if it has made things harder for deep breathing or for meditating. So you do have some control over your environment, and you need to put that to use if you're to be successful. How can you do this for deep breathing and mindfulness? Well, consider creating a space specific to meditating or deep breathing. If you plan to do it in the morning, set a space up the night before. Set an alarm to remind you, and if you're using an app, download the app ahead of time, and then choose the session ahead of time if you want to make it even more helpful. If you have family or a spouse or a partner or roommates, kindly ask them to give you 5 to 10 minutes of peace so you can go practice this. If you have kids, ask if someone can mind them for 5 or 10 minutes. Or maybe there's an older kid and you can have the older kid mind the younger kids. So I would say write a list of physical things in your environment that you think make practicing deep breathing or mindfulness hard for you. And then circle the things that you can remove. Then write a list of the physical things in your environment that you think would make it easier for you to practice deep breathing and mindfulness. And then start highlighting or circling the items there you think you could begin adding. Once again, the people in your life can either make meditating or deep breathing easier or tougher, just like exercising. And just like setting up your environment is important, it is up to you to try and get the people in your life on your side, because having the people on your team is incredibly powerful and very helpful for someone who's trying to develop a new practice. And remember, if you're not practicing, you're not getting the stress relief benefits and you're not building the resilience. So these skills are really important for you to put to use. So for recruiting support, I want to do the same exercise I had you do last week. Grab your pen and paper, and I want you to write out a list of 5 people you see most often. And if you are isolated, write down 5 people you speak to most often. And then I want you to separate that list into 2 columns. So I want you, the first column is going to be labeled change partners, and the second is going to be labeled supporters. And just to remind you the definitions, a change partner is somebody who's going to try and practice meditation or deep breathing with you, and they are going to take on making that change. Whereas a supporter is someone who's going to encourage you and cheer you on. So you will ask them to check in with you periodically to see how your practice is going, what you're finding difficult, and just to keep nudging you in that direction, like a supporter of a soccer game. And when you separate your list of 5 people into the change partners or supporters, then I want you to write down the exact type of help that would most benefit you from each person. So if it's a change partner, consider setting up dates and times to practice together. If it's a supporter, find out what it is from them that would make practicing deep breathing and practicing meditation easier for you and how they can help. Now, it's really important if you're going to get a change partner that you really get someone who's committed with you, someone who's not going to just flake and drop out after the first small challenge. Changing your routines takes time and takes effort, so you want someone who's just as committed as you are. And then when you've compiled your list and you've figured out the exact type of help you need, I want you to go ahead and set time aside to be actively reaching out to these people and start asking them for that exact help that you've identified you could benefit from. Now, we've just gone through 4 skills. We've gone through goal setting, we've gone through monitoring your progress, we've gone through arranging your environment to help make meditating and deep breathing easier, and then we've gone through recruiting support to also make meditating easier and to make deep breathing a little easier. Now, the last thing you need to do is you want to reinforce what you're doing. So every time you practice deep breathing or meditating, immediately afterwards, I want you to deliberately tell yourself, good job, or whatever phrase you're more comfortable with. And I get it, this can sound a little silly and a little unnecessary, but trust me, that subtle reinforcement will give you a positive feeling immediately after practicing deep breathing and meditation. And if you want to establish these routines, creating that subtle feeling makes that more likely. So the more you practice, the more resilient you be. And the more you practice reinforcing it, the more likely you are to do it again. So a subtle, good job, great work is extremely effective at helping you establish this as a new routine for you. Now let's pause again, and I want you to answer this question. What steps can you take to get started with deep breathing or meditation right now? Okay, that is deep breathing and mindfulness. And we've just gone through the information of how meditating and deep breathing can help you manage the stress and worry that you're experiencing right now. Also, as I said at the beginning, the answers to the questions I was asking throughout, these can be incredibly effective at boosting your level of motivation. So keep your answers to these questions in a place you see frequently and review them regularly. And if you do this, you will be reminded of why using meditation and deep breathing to manage your stress is important to you. And that level of motivation is really important. It will help you take action today. And at the very end, I went through a 5-step process to create an action plan. And it was the goal setting, monitoring, arranging your environments, recruiting support, and then treating yourself or reinforcing it. And each of these represents a skill that if you practice, you will begin meditating and deep breathing regularly. So use this action plan, practice each skill regularly, and when you start practicing, continue to use the skills and don't stop using them because they are what helps you develop and establish the routine. If you stop using these skills, and it's likely you'll slowly start drifting back into your old ways, which could be not deep breathing or breathing very shallowly and not meditating. And this isn't because you're a failure. It isn't because you don't have the ability to do it. It's just that it takes time to build new habits and build new routines. And our old habits and routines are always pulling us back until we've been practicing for a pretty long time, 6 months or so. So we need to practice a strategy long term for these new habits to become permanent habits. I hope you found this video very helpful, and I hope you put the tips I've shared to use so that you start benefiting from mindfulness and deep breathing and the relaxation response right now and for the future. Now, if you're uncertain about some of these ideas I talked about and some of the tips I gave today, don't worry. I'm going to go over them in a lot more detail at an outdoor session in Oz Park in a couple of weekends on August the 1st. Next week, we'll be talking about gratitude and connection to further enhance your ability to cope effectively with stress. So until then, thank you very much and feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions.